Hey, you're watching Rock and Metal News. I'm Brian from Hail the Villain. Check it out.
Hey guys, this is Ron from YouTube's Rock and Metal News, and I've had some requests to do some flashbacks of some old vinyl for Judas Priest. So I dug up some of my old vinyl, and we're going to just kind of go through the Judas Priest catalog up to when I stopped collecting the vinyls for them. So let's start back in 1974. Their first debut album called Rocka Rolla. There's a couple of different album covers for this one. But this is the album one I have. This is Rocka Rolla, and the back, pretty standard. The track list on this is One for the Road, Rocka Rolla, Winter, Deep Freeze, Winter Retreat, Cheater, Never Satisfied, Run of the Mill, Dying to Meet You, and Caviar and Meths. Rob Halford on vocals, KK Downing guitars, Glenn Tipton guitars, John Hinch on drums, and Ian Hill on bass. Now we're going to move to 1976, which is Sad Wings of Destiny. It's the front, got some pictures on the back, and the track list of this is Prelude, Tyrant, Genocide, Epitaph, Island of Domination, Victim of Changes, which is one of their classics that they can sometimes play live. Ripper also became one of their classics. Dreamer, Deceiver, and Deceiver. And the Rocka Rolla didn't have any sleeve in it that's different. This is just a standard sleeve as well for that. Then their third album, which is 1977, Sin After Sin. Love this one. Had this one on cassette as well, but I think it got eaten up. Those who had cassette players will know what that means. The tape just gets sucked right into your cassette player. And Sinner, this one had, or Sin After Sin, this had Sinner, Diamonds and Rust, Starbreaker, Last Rose of Summer, Let Us Pray, Call for the Priest, Raw Deal, Here Comes the Tears, and Dissident Aggressor. And Slayer did a cover of Dissident Aggressor on, I think, South of Heaven. If you ever want to check a cover of that out. And this is, just has no special sleeve in that, just a standard sleeve. And then they've had 3 albums out, and they already put out a Best of Judas Priest. And this is the Best of Judas Priest front cover. Here's the back. This album had Rocka Rolla, Never Satisfied, Dying to Meet You, Diamonds and Rust, Victim of Changes, Island of Domination, Deceiver, and The Ripper. So there's nothing special of the sleeve in this, just standard sleeve inside there. Then we went to 1977 again, which looks like they put out an album early in 77 and near the end of 77, and this was Stained Class. So there's the front of Stained Class, there's the back, and this album had Exciter, White Heat Red Hot, Better By You, Better Than Me, Stained Class, and Invader, Side 2, Saints in Hell, Savage, Beyond the Realms of Death, and Hero's End. And this, I don't have a sleeve for it, also nothing special on that one. Then we have 1978. This album had 2 names to it. One was Killing Machine and one was Hellbent for Leather. Hellbent for Leather was put out in North America. That was the name. And here is the front cover of that. And here is the back cover of Hellbent for Leather. Pretty cool. And this one here, it did not have a sleeve, a kind of an interesting sleeve on it. So just there's that. Then we're going to a live album, and this one was great. What an amazing live album. What an amazing recording on this and everything. The songs were just great. This is Unleashed in the East. And that's the front. That's the back. This had such a great set list to it. I played this so much. Exciter, Running Wild, Sinner, Ripper, the Green Manalishi with the 2-pronged crown. Side 2 was Diamonds and Rust, Victim of Changes, Genocide, and Tyrant. What a great album this was. I was just so impressed by the way they recorded that live. Then we're going to hit 1980, which is British Steel. And this is just a really cool classic album. There's the front, and there's the back. And British Steel just had so many cool hits on it. I think this was This was pretty much one of the really kind of breakout albums, I think, with it's got Breaking the Law on it, Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, Grinder, United, Side 2, Living After Midnight, Don't Have to Be Old to Be Wise, The Rage, and Steeler. They play Breaking the Law, Metal Gods, Living After Midnight a lot live, and this is where they really took off on their leather. They're real into leather stuff on that. And for sleeves, nothing for that for a sleeve. Then we're going to hit Point of Entry. And that's Point of Entry. Front cover. There's the back, Point of Entry. This one here had Heading Out to the Highway, Don't Go, Hot Rockin', Turn in Circles, Desert Plains, Solar Angels, You Say Yes, All the Way, Troubleshooter, and On the Run. Pretty interesting album, this one. I mean, especially after putting out British Steel, which had so many hits in that on it, and then putting this out, it was just a kind of a different... I mean, I don't mind the album, but Heading Out to the Highway, of course, is the biggest hit on this one. But just didn't have that impact, of course, that British Steel did. Now, here, one of the metal albums of all time. After they, I think they put out British Steel, then they had that little Point of Entry, which definitely didn't live up to British Steel, and then came the magnificent classic Screaming for Vengeance, which brought Judas Priest into a whole another echelon, and they just took off on their arena tours with this one. Here's the back, and this one here had the Helion, Electric Eye, of course, a classic. Riding on the Wind, Bloodstone, Take These Chains, Pain and Pleasure. Side 2, Screaming for Vengeance. You've Got Another Thing Coming, another classic. Fever and Devil's Child. This album, 10 out of 10. Just a classic album. Then, one of my favorites is Defenders of the Faith. They followed up Screaming for Vengeance just perfectly. And they have Defenders of the Faith. And here's the back cover of that. And I just love this album. Freewheel Burning, Jawbreaker, one of my faves. Rock Hard Ride Free, The Sentinel. Oh, that song is just unreal. Love Bites, Eat Me Alive, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, Night Comes Down, Heavy Duty, and Defenders of the Faith. I'll give this one another 10 out of 10. Just a great follow-up, and I played this one so much, they got a sleeve in it. This is, I think, the first Judas Priest that really had a cool sleeve in it or something different. And then you got the lyrics now. They're putting the lyrics out on this. I saw the Defenders of the Faith live tour, and it was great. They had what did they call this thing? I can't remember what they called this thing on the front. But Metallion, I think it is. The Wrath of the Metallion. And they had this on the front, and Rob Halford was in his hand, and they lowered him down on the stage from the hand of the Metallion. Then, I don't know what the hell happened to metal. I don't know what happened after Defenders of the Faith. I don't know if you like this album. I'm such a huge Judas Priest fan that I picked some songs out of here that I liked, but what the hell happened? Then came Turbo. And there was just a change in metal in this era here, man. And I don't know what year this is, like 86, 87. It had the inner sleeve here with the lyrics on one side and this on the other. But yeah, after Defenders of the Faith, I just thought that the songs, okay, Turbo Lover, Locked In, Private Property, Parental Guidance, Rock and Roll All Around the World, Side 2, Out in the Cold, Wild Nights, Hot and Crazy Days, Hot for Love, and Reckless. Oh man, Turbo Lover, I kind of liked. Locked In, kind of liked, and Out in the Cold. I don't know what the hell happened to their lyrical content in this album. When you're going from the Sentinel and Jawbreaker and oh man, just like Screaming for Vengeance and Electric Eye and all that. And then you hit some of the lyrics on here. I just did not think that definitely this was not their lyrical, was up to their par in there. And they had a bunch of synth guitars and stuff in it. But you know what? A lot of bands did this in the 80s. It was just I remember this, it was just a really weird period. Anyways, Then it goes to the last album of Judas Priest that I picked up on vinyl. This is just my last vinyl. Of course, Judas Priest have tons more albums out there. This is just the last vinyl I got, and it was Judas Priest Live. And it was a double album. There's the back. And it opens up to the live stage. That was I think that was a turbo tour on this, Out in the Cold. Yeah, so this was a turbo. This had Out in the Cold, Heading Out to the Highway, Metal Gods, Breaking the Law, Love Bites, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll, The Sentinel, Private Property, Rock You All Around the World, Electric Eye, Turbo Lover, Freewheel Burning, Parental Guidance, Living After Midnight, and You've Got Another Thing Coming. So that is a trip through my Judas Priest vinyl. Thank God Judas Priest is still going, and they have a new album coming out called Firepower, and it sounds amazing. There's two songs out and a couple of teasers or whatever, but everything I've heard from it sounds really good. So the metal gods, Judas Priest, are still alive, and that's my trip. This is Ron from YouTube's Rock and Metal News. Thanks for tuning in.